Hey, what it do, what it do, what it do? It's ya boy Q, and welcome back to YouTube Explorers. Get excited, the final progression wipe from early access is complete, and we've got a nice big juicy patch to go over. They're fixing a lot of things. I kind of briefly looked over it, had a couple people talking to me in my chat over on Twitch. By the way, we stream on Twitch like 5-6 days a week. Link for that is going to be down in the description below. But I wanted to kind of go through this really for the first time and kind of talk about it with you guys. That way you can get some genuine reactions. That way we can kind of talk about it a little bit. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Cool. All right. So this is our patch note for May 26th, the day that we're recording this, the day that the progression wipe happened, the day that we are able to move into our final stage, get to see what everything looks like as far as research. And I'm sure that's going to change maybe a little bit, but probably not too much from the full release. And, you know, kind of get to really see what Midwinter is putting in here as far as some changes. I know I'm excited. Are you? Let's get to it. So we're excited to release our latest game update and hope that you'll enjoy the changes in Scavengers. Check out all the new in-game updates that are now live. With this update, we are also performed an account wipe, resetting your account level to 1. To thank all our explorers for their dedication and passion so far, we credited active players with Pioneer rewards, including some sweet cosmetic items based on what your account level was pre-wipe. So let's go ahead and just dig right into this. Now, I'm not going to try and talk too much as far as what it means for the game long-term like we have in the past, mostly because we've got a lot of patch notes here, right? And I know you guys want to get back into your exploring, get back to grinding your levels since they were just reset back to 0. But let's actually go through this from top to bottom so everyone knows what we've got going on, okay? We've heard your feedback that our social system could use a few improvements, especially to make it easier to find a party and stay together after elimination. In this update, we're making it easier to play as a squad. Here's what's changing. Parties are given the opportunity to stick together when leaving a match after being eliminated, which is freaking awesome, by the way. You can find players you recently played with and easily add them to your friends with. Also really cool. Party members now stay disconnected after match. Exit, even if they are eliminated. You can find recent players by opening up the social menu and clicking on the recent tab. Simply send a friend request to add players to your friends list and you're ready to invite them to your squad. Your full in-game name, including unique identifier, has moved to the main lobby to the top of the social menu. You'll still need the full in-game name to add players you haven't recently teamed up with. Part of the reasoning for wiping progress now was so we could rework and improve parts of the research system. We hope that as you progress and unlock research, it will provide a better experience, which is really good, honestly. I think the research portion is going to be one of the biggest thing that holds people back as far as like new players. So hopefully they've really, you know, kind of simplified things and made things easier for newer players when they get in. But I know I was really confused when I first got in. If you are confused about the research system, we do have a research basics guide. It'll be up in that top right-hand corner. The power system was intended to reinforce session pacing and encourage playing multiple explorers. Players' perception of the system and prior experience with power mechanics resulted in some negative expectations that weren't intended. We took this feedback on board and decided that the negatives outweighed the benefits of the system, so we've unplugged power, which is probably a pretty cool thing. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I know there have been times where I have the stuff that I can to actually start like researching whether it's more components or researching a particular talent. And I had to wait another game or two, even though I had everything ready and I had the spot in my research lab where I could put it. And then I was still going to have to wait a couple hours anyway. So I think that's a pretty good move. Here's what's changed. Removed power from the research system, overhauled and adjusted the research unlocks and recipes. Salvage contents and resources have been reworked to provide smoother progression. Interesting. I'll be curious to see what that means once we get into game. Let's take a look at what they did to sliding. Explorers can quickly and easily slide down a hill until they jump. Landing after a jump forces you to stand when sometimes all you want to do is continue sliding. With this in mind, we've made the changes to sliding and jumping to make it more exciting. You can continue sliding even after an epic jump. While in the air, hit Control key to go into a crouch or whatever you've bound your crouch to, I'm sure. Upon landing, your explorer will continue to slide without losing any momentum, similar to like we see like on Apex slides when going downhill, which is really cool. This will help people traverse the map a little bit quicker. I think it'll help when storms are closing in. So I really like this fix. Jump animations have been adjusted to better fit each explorer's build. Cool, I like that. We already announced the new cosmetics coming with this update, but those aren't the only changes. We've also added some new emotes and keeper frames. Here's all our new cosmetic adjustments. Weapon skins, account banners, emblems, titles, new emotes for explorer progression, and new keeper frames as well. Now, we did talk about the new cosmetics coming to the game in a recent episode here on the channel, and we also talked about new Explorer coming in, which they don't have in the notes here, but we definitely know that's coming. Do me a favor and check that video up in the top right-hand corner. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the changes they've made to the Explorers. It looks like we're going to start with Callie. They added the Heartseeker X Fire. Deals fire damage over time on hit, so probably just like a dot, I'm sure. Known issues equipping the X Fire may equip the wrong bow. Oh. That's okay. I'm sure it'll get fixed soon. Callie now remains cloaked while reviving teammates. Callie does not show up on the radar while cloaked. See, I never understood why Callie still showed up on the radar while she was cloaked. It seems to be like her bag, you know what I mean? So I'm glad that they fixed that. As far as for Tarek, they added the Long Striker Desperado. Chance to trigger an explosion when the target is killed by a headshot. Oh, is that explosion to the head? That'd be so cool. I'm sure it just means an explosion, period, but I think that animation would be sick. They also adjusted the stun trap, which quite honestly needed to happen. The stun trap cooldown is increased to 25 seconds. I can't remember what it was before. I think it was only like 15 seconds or before, if I'm not mistaken. So a really good change. The changes to the stun trap as well improved the warble effects, increased fall off for screen brightness and stun effects. So if they increase the fall off, does that mean it now lasts longer, or they increase the fall off meaning that it doesn't last as long? I'm guessing probably not as long, right? I think the whole point was to nerf the trap a little bit. I guess we'll have to see that actually in game. When it comes to Halden here, they added the strike rifle Vigor, chance to cause a brief slowdown effect on hit. Curative Aura no longer cancels execution that are in progress, and they fixed the area of effect as far as for his talent so it correctly matches the visual. Cool, cool, cool. For Jay, they added the Maverick Adzi. That's how you say that, right? I'm probably an idiot, but that's okay. It deals double the damage against energy shields, causes a brief slowdown on hit. So it's a good way to like break the shields of your enemies so your teammates can finish them quicker. And they added the Maverick Depth Charge. Deals bleed damage over time against enemies with no armor. Refills stamina when hitting an enemy. That's actually really cool because with Jay, one of the big things that you're constantly fighting is your stamina. So the cool thing that you can actually get some of it back when you successfully hit an enemy is really cool. Now, it does look like they're making some changes to their radar system as well. Let's take a look at this. The radar system now hides players under certain circumstances. If you're using a silent weapon like a melee or bow, you won't show up on a player's radar even when within ping range. You also won't show up if you're crouching, sliding, in shelter, in a storm, or standing still. But you still show when you're moving? Well, why still show if you're moving? Why not just take that completely away and make it so you don't show up on radar until you're shooting? I don't get it. Players in vehicles can no longer see pings for other explorers nearby unless they are shooting. So we can't implement that. That's the only thing that people see when they're in a car, but we don't implement that for regular play. I am so confused. They'll have to exit the vehicle for their radar system to kick in after 10 seconds of being out of the vehicle. So the nice thing is this is going to prevent people from basically just driving by camps to see who's in the camp, if there's any players in the camp, and basically just mobbing up on them while they're currently dealing with the environment as well. But what I don't get is if they have the ability to block the radar, except for when people are shooting, why don't they just do that for players in general? I feel like that would encourage more PvP, which we've talked about before. I think Scavengers really needs to encourage more PvP, especially like early game. If you guys are interested in that title, do me a favor and check that video up in the top right-hand corner, all right? As far as for Valora, they added the Devastator Corsac. It's a higher rate of fire with bigger magazine compared to the Devastator. Deals lower damage per shot. Deals acid damage that will corrode enemy armor over time and deals additional damage to enemies without armor. Interesting. So just another DOT, basically, right? They also added the Devastator Nemesis. It fires a slow-moving bolt that can cause explosion damage upon impact. And they also fixed an accuracy penalty immediately after exiting sprint while using the Devastator. I didn't know that there was an accuracy penalty. Interesting. And then as far as for their fixes for crews, they added the Cazador Shiver. It deals freeze damage on hit. Ooh, that could be cool. Freeze damage slows the target for a period of time and reduces their temperature. Very interesting. I think that would kind of add really an effect where it makes even the slower, the lower damage that it does, or it appears to do, or it feels like it does in game, I think that's going to make it like the trade-off really good. It looks like we are making some improvements to talents, they're saying. So let's take a look at that. We've made updates to several talents. We've also heard your feedback that it can be difficult to determine what a talent does. So we've updated the talent descriptions with more detailed information to make it easier to understand what it does before you use it. Here's what has changed. Explorers with the acrobatic trait, Kali, Valora, and Cruz, now have the utility talent, Radar Blocker, swapped with the ninja utility talent, Limbered Up. Radar Blocker is now available to Jay and Tarek. Talent descriptions made updated with detailed information. Many talents have been reworked and rebalanced. Talents now work correctly after respawning. Power Surge will now trigger correctly. Heal Burst will now trigger correctly. Power Reroute will now trigger correctly. Cold Blood now lasts the entire match. Whereas I think before, the resistance did not last the entire match, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, since we are talking about balances and stuff with the game, naturally, we're going to see some weapon tuning. We did a weapon tuning pass to rebalance many of the weapons in Scavenger. So let's take a look at this. So the Long Striker and Predator Sniper Rifle reduced the projectile velocity, reduced the zoom magnification slightly, reduced vertical push recoil on snipers. They now settle closer to the original aim. They added damage fall off for a sniper? Okay. Snipers now exit ADS to perform bolt action, which is probably a good idea. The War Song's damage was increased. I think it was only a couple ticks per bullet, if I'm not mistaken. I think when I was watching Baggins scream earlier, it was like 3 damage per bullet. So like, or 2 or 3 damage per bullet. So nothing too crazy. Now for the sidekick, the rarity changed to uncommon and the damage was increased. For the micro burst, the damage was increased. The zoom magnification increased slightly as well. For the Opus, the rarity was changed to epic, which was like the Magnum, right? Increased the damage and slightly increased the headshot multiplier. Damage fall off extended slightly. So this means that like targets can be farther away before the fall off takes place. Here's what we like to see. Sweeper and Renegade SMGs damaged increased at close range. They felt just honestly like god awful. They felt like you were shooting like Nerf darts sometimes. So I'm glad to see this. The Snowpiercer's rarity was changed to rare. Improved accuracy and damage when rapid firing using short draws. Deals bleed damage over time to unarmored targets and can rapid fire much faster than any other bow. Interesting. The Harvester deals an additional bleed damage over time to unarmored enemies. Outlander melee weapon, the Brainer, the damage was increased. The melee weapon Ripsaw, damage increased. The Outlander melee weapon Hackblade, heavy attack damage increased. So basically all of the melee weapons were increased, which is probably a good idea as far as like the base weapons, right? Outlander melee weapon Chain Shark, basic attack damage greatly increased. Heavy attack damage slightly increased. Which is good, because the Chain Shark, like, it sounded like a cool concept, but, like, honestly, the damage that you got for not really being able to move while you used it, really not worth the trade-off. As far as Letty's Rosie Revolver, they reduced the headshot multiplier slightly. Probably not a bad idea. People with good aim were playing her for a reason, right? And Callie's Heartseeker, damage fall-off range extended. The bow has increased ammo, and the shockwave bolts now explode on impact instead of attaching and exploding after a delay. So this is going to be good when people are kind of clustered together, let's say in a hold and heal, or if they're kind of getting close together, making a push or anything. Before, once they started hearing it, they could separate before the explosion. Now it's going to actually do it. So I think that's a really good change here. We also made some adjustments to recoil spread. Overall, these changes should decrease your overall recoil spread, making it easier to hit your target. That's awesome. So they reduced the movement accuracy penalty for all weapons except for pistols. And for pistols, they completely removed the penalty for it. They reduced the accuracy penalty after reloading. I didn't even know there was one of those. Reduced the ADS recoil spread on many weapons, which is probably a good idea, especially for like long-ranging battles. Or, you know, anything that's not within, 10, 15 meters, basically. This is most noticeable when using a Rattler, Sweeper, and Renegade. Awesome, awesome. It does look like they've also updated some of the ammo capacity. So for light weapons, they've gone from 450 to 420. Nice. For medium, there's no change. There's still a capacity of 225 ammo. For heavy, it's been decreased from 90 to 60. For For arrows, there's been no change. For shells, they've been decreased from 45 to 36. And explosive is decreased from 15 to 12. As far as general combat, you can now sprint while reloading, and you will automatically transition back to a full sprint once reload completes. That's really cool. This makes for smoother, more fluid movement during combat. Yes, 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 yes. I like the fact that they're looking at how things feel while you're in an engagement. Throwing a grenade no longer forces you to remain unarmed. After throwing the last grenade, your explorer now automatically switches to the last weapon used. Thank you. It was so nice to not have to add extra keystrokes. Improvement to make using the controller easier. Increase the strength of the sticky aim. Increase the hold duration to exit a vehicle to avoid accidentally exiting while pressing the reload button. And they fixed the chance to land headshots when aiming at the chest is no longer easier than expected. As far as some of the changes they've made to the general gameplay itself, the time of day is now randomized at the start of expeditions. That's really cool. So we're gonna get some night games in here. That's pretty dope. New challenges have been added to the game. They've improved messaging for players downed, kills, and teammate pings. Your keeper is more in tuned to your status. The keeper lights will change when you are too cold or have low health. That's actually really cool. Warlords may now appear during Category 2 storms, whereas I believe before was until Category 3. Gortok, Bilobog, and Omicron have been made more lethal to better combat explorer teams that wish to take them on. So they're going to be harder to do now, which honestly is probably pretty good. The only thing before was like they were super thick boys, but they weren't really hard to take on, right? You just needed time. The final circle is going to be smaller, and the final collapse happens more slowly. They decreased the number of growths that appear at a time. Added more supply drops, orbital debris, and data uplink location. Okay, so they're adding more of the side objectives, just not as much of the growths. Honestly, I think the added change here is going to help, especially because we do see in late game scenarios, normally there's not much left on the map anyways, right? As far as the data and data uplinks, we made some changes around the data points to improve clarity and make it easier to upload your data points at data uplinks. Data uplinks now upload data points faster. Data uplink speed increases when more teammates are nearby. So if you have more people who are there, the quicker you should be able to deposit your points. That's pretty cool. Players drop all their data points if they are killed and eliminated after the dropship has arrived. Data tubes are now represented in denominations based on how many data points they contain. Data points can no longer be dropped from your inventory. So you can no longer distribute your data points while you're at a uplink. Not sure how I feel about that. As far as when it comes to scrap, we're continuing to adjust the in-game scrap balance. We're adjusting the amount of scrap dropped when an entire team is eliminated, as it was a bit too high. The scrap bonus for a full team elimination has been reduced by 50%. No, 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 no. I understand maybe wanting to adjust some of the like end game for blue and purple shield, but now it means that white, they're going to be dropping what, 100? So, no, it means they're going to be dropping 75. So there's really no, there's no reason for early game PvP now. But look, we're just going to keep on trucking here, chat. There's this video's already gone on longer than most of our other ones, I'm sure. And I know you guys want to get back to actually playing the game. So as far as the weapon audio improvements across Explorer weapons, wildcard weapons, and Outlander weapons, improved audio for boss objectives and AI factions, new audio for teammates downed and respawning. So they just basically, it sounds like they've crisped things up, so you can actually identify who's saying what and what's going on. Pings are now semi-transparent when aiming down sight, so that's going to help as far as with when you ping a moving target, you can't really see what you're doing. PlayStation controllers are now properly supported by the UA with relevant buttons. They improved item stacking in the UI. Your inventory will now smart stack items if you have them split across different slots. You can also click or drag to combine them. They will stack up to the max capacity. So this would be like if you had 2 thermals on your left and 1 thermal on your right, you accidentally used the one of the 2 on your left. Now it's actually going to stack them and make them, only into one spot so you can pick up other items. That's pretty cool. The enemy ping is now semi-transparent and no longer shows an icon to differentiate enemy types. So basically what they're saying is you now won't be able to tell on a ping if it's a AI or if it's a player. Probably not a bad idea, honestly. Makes communication more big. And also they're transparent, so that's going to make it a little bit easier to see what you're shooting at. So that's big. And then they also fixed a whole slew of performance optimization and bug fixes. If you're looking for like a full list of those, I'll leave a link for this down in the comments. Most of this stuff really doesn't matter. It's going to be stuff that, you know, it's fixed in the game. If you didn't know about the problems, you probably aren't worried about it, right? But they fixed a whole slew of stuff, so that's going to be there as well. I know you guys are wanting to get back into the grind. Remember, everything did just reset, so when you log in, you will be level 1. You're only going to have your first 3 explorers. No sweat. Back to the grind we go, right? Now, if you enjoyed the video and you've been enjoying the updates, do your boy a huge favor. Smack that like button and leave a comment, because that is going to help us out with that good old YouTube algorithm. Hopefully get our content in front of more people. And if you are wanting to stay up to date with more Scavengers update, we are going to continue to post videos over here on this channel a couple days a week. So hit that subscribe button, turn those notifications on. That way we can catch you back for the next video. All right. And of course, as always, don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love harder. It's your boy Q, signing out.
If you ain't show something, you just don't wanna be. You wanna be me, but you will never be as fresh as see you in.